Are we rolling?
Yep, we're rolling.
Hey guys!
Oh my goodness. Is this how we start?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Your cat was like, what?
What's happening? Well, welcome to the podcast,
Thank you.
Katie.
Thank y'all.
I'm Megan and welcome to the Tough Luck Podcast. Today's guest is my sister, a sales director, and then also a life coach in the mix. And adding in content creation, which is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for having
welcome.
me.
Yeah, of course. So for yourself, what are some of the first steps that you take when you set your routine?
Yeah, so my first step in setting a routine is always setting a goal. Like, what are your intentions? What are most important to you in life? Mm-hmm. Like, have you ever seen that video of that college professor with the jar and he puts stones in a jar and asks the class if it's full?
No,
you know
tell me about that.
So,
sorry. We prepared this beforehand, so if it seems like it kind of scripted, that's why. Go ahead.
Well, so in the jar, he puts these big stones in the jar and he asks the class, "Is this full?" And they say yes. Mm-hmm. And then he puts little pebbles into the jar and fills it all the way to the top and asks if it's full. And the class said yes. And then he puts sand in the jar and then fills it to the top, asks if it's full, and they say yes. He then puts water in the jar and then asks if it's full, and then he says yes. So I kind of think of my daily routine or my life as that jar.
So you build up based on different sized, what basically it's priorities for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So my big stones are the things that take up the most room are my main priorities. So for me, it's faith, it's my education, health, my career, and then my personal life and fun. So those are my big things that I put into my jar first. And then the little pebbles are the supporting tasks, things that I have to do to support those goals.
Gotcha. So when you're workshopping this, if there's someone who's out there who would want to put together their first layer, I guess, which is the bigger pebbles.
Yeah.
How would they go about selecting what's most important to them? Because I know I get decision fatigue with that sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it just, really sitting down and planning. I think planning is the biggest thing. Take a pen and paper, ask yourself, what are my main priorities? And then get those figured out. And then create a schedule around, when are you going to do these things? If working out's important to you, when are you going to work out? So, for me, I'm a morning person. I do things based off of my energy. So, I want to make sure I get my workout in first thing in the morning so that I can get out of the way, and then move on to my next thing.
Nice. So, you set the hardest thing at the first bit of the day.
Yeah.
And then go backwards from there until it's the end of the day. Mm-hmm. Okay, so is the reason why you put working out at the first part of your day, is it because it's the most difficult for you to get done?
Yeah. Not necessarily. It's just the things that I definitely want to get done in my day, I put at the beginning of my day. And I do it based off of my energy. So I know after work, I'm going to be tired and I might have something else, something else tends to pop up in the afternoon. So sometimes I want to make sure that I get it done first thing in the morning when it's silent, when nobody else is distracting, so that, I can get it done at the end of the day.
What time do you typically start?
I usually get up at 4:30.
What?
And then, yeah.
I could never. That is horrible. Uh-huh. I actually knew that already. That's horrible.
You act like it's such a shock.
What? No, but it is an early hour.
Yeah.
So it's doing it before even people begin to pop in the gym even. So when you go to the gym, it's empty.
No, not necessarily. There's a lot of people that
get up at 4 a.m. and
it's really just routine. A lot of the same people that, I see are doing the same thing. They have a routine. They have it set, and it's just second nature. Once you have a routine, it's just like,
and
autopilot.
Is everybody happy there, or is it just like...
I don't know. I've never asked, but...
Yeah, like, is everyone here happy or doing well? It seems like they are to be there, because it's like they're already... It's not uncomfortable anymore.
Yeah. Well, I think, like, when you put, like, the most important things and you grind throughout your week and you get those things done, then you feel, like, accomplished and, like, good about yourself and that you can rest later.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
It makes room for your rest. Like, you can play hard, or work hard so you can play hard.
Oh, cool, yeah.
Or rest hard, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, resting, too. Yeah. Okay, so getting back to the pebbles analogy that you were bringing up, what would then be the little tiny pebbles that you would fill in the jar?
Yeah. So those would be, like, my supporting tasks. So, like, if I, when I get up in the morning, like, my big rock is, like, my faith. And, like, so my first thing when I wake up is, I'll pray and I'll read.
Okay.
So I'll get that done first thing in the morning because it's one of my main priorities. So.
Okay. Yeah. And then when you enter into that time, does that ever falter? Does it ever not happen for you? And how do you feel if it does happen to you?
Are you talking about, like
you wake up late, for example, or the routine fell apart somewhat, and then how does that make you feel?
Well, we can't be like robots, we have emotions, we have like a soul and well-being, so I don't like beat myself up if I don't do it.
Right.
It's not the end of the world, we're all human, but
that makes sense.
Yeah. So giving yourself grace.
And how do you, in days where you don't want to do your routine, motivate yourself to do it anyway?
Yeah. Well, I feel like I've been in routine for so long that it's just second nature. Like, and I'll, for the gym, for example, like, I will go in and do as much as I can do. I can only push myself so hard. But just ebbing and flowing with how you feel as well is important to take into consideration. Yeah. Because
I feel like illness comes about sometimes, and I mean, you're kind of getting over something right now, so you're feeling it.
Yeah.
And it's a balance between, I know for at least my life, I can't explain fully for every single person out there, but if I start to notice like these little beginning signs of illness, it's like, okay, I've got to stop. Like, just like...
Yeah, you got to listen to your body.
Yeah. And I know that there are certain things that just don't stop, but there are certain needs that we need to meet.
Right.
And if you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the first thing is getting shelter, food, and then sleep, and then clothes off your body. Once you have the things that you need, the house, like maybe not a house necessarily, but shelter, you essentially have the basics. You have all those things that you need as a human to survive. And we think we need beyond those needs, and of course there's wants in there. So like, we want the nice car, we want these material things, and the final bit of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs is self-actualization. We want to know ourselves in a core level and to know where we fit in this world.
Right.
But if we never work on we can't get the basics, then we can't work from there.
Right.
We can't get that actualization from a place of unsteady grounds.
Right.
So I feel like the routines, you probably would agree with this, are a means of setting that baseline of like, okay, my needs are met. Beyond this point is extra.
Right.
Like, I'm good. Like, and do you feel like you feel comforted in knowing that these routines are kind of the foundation of your life in a way?
Oh yeah, it's not a chore to me anymore. Like, it's making me who I want to become. So, I mean, it is always hard, like, when you're first getting started, like, taking the first step.
Yeah.
Because you're not used to it, and it's not, in your comfort zone. But when you step past your comfort zone and you really put yourself into a space where you're excelling in life, then it makes you feel really good.
And this isn't even, like, I want to preface this because I know some people might take this differently. Some people believe that society is, like, the way in which we are excelling in life, but it doesn't have to be through, like, following the traditional path.
Right.
And doing it what everyone else is doing.
Yeah. See, like, I, like, have always wanted to chase, like, the American dream. Like, I want, like, the house, the family, the dog. Like,
right.
But then when I went to Europe, and I realized how slow paced they are. Like, it's not a hustle culture in other parts of the world. Like, you really, just enjoy life. Love what you're doing. Like, you can't make your routine a chore. You have to love what you do. And that's the point of it, to loving your life.
Because it could just become the thing you begin to hate.
Yeah.
Otherwise.
Yeah.
And do you think there's freedom in being able to have the choice of, if I really don't, like, I know when we were kids, going to school every day, we knew that was happening every time. We may not have felt like going to school that day, but we went. It was different if we were sick, of course, but just knowing that school was there and then we were going to always get that education.
Yeah.
It's somewhat freeing to know that we're good in that sense, and not everybody has that privilege.
Yep.
So having that awareness of, okay, when you become an adult, you're no longer forced to go to school.
Yeah.
Or go, even homeschool kids probably feel like, I don't want to do this today. But now we have to create our own discipline. And in a way, I think it's scary for new adults, young adults, to enter this state, because I know a lot of the viewership probably either knows a young adult or is a young adult. And they're scared because it's like
just intimidating.
A lot of them are worried that, well, especially with the economy the way it is, it's kind of an intimidation factor for sure, because it's like, okay, they can't afford the house that their family once had. They can't afford the car, sometimes it's like they can afford a car, but they may not afford a car that would sustain them for a long enough period of time.
Yeah.
So speaking to those people who are maybe not even young adults, but just struggling to make ends meet, how do you root yourself in that routine?
Yeah.
And even in the unknown, I guess.
Yeah.
In that lost state of mind.
Well, I think this formula, if you will, works for anybody. Like, it starts with an intention, a goal, a want. You have to want to do it. Otherwise, you can't get yourself motivated to do it. And it's you have to want it, and how bad do you want it? Like, if you want to get freed from debt or whatever, like, what is your goal to achieve that goal?
Yeah.
How bad do you want it?
It is a bit of that for sure. And even in those people who they're feeling somewhat the weight of the world, you're suggesting that it's within yourself is kind of what I'm hearing. Would you say that?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like, if you kind of, even if no matter who's hating on you, just like almost shut it out and face the world ahead of you. Okay. It's like tough. It's a tough love.
Yeah.
So anyway, getting back to the pebbles there.
Getting back to the pebbles.
Those pebbles that you were mentioning from earlier, You were mentioning that there's sand. What does that represent?
Well, it could represent like your downtime. Like, how do you relax? How do you, because the whole hustle culture really does like bring anxiety and like, oh, I'm not ever gonna be good enough, and so
sure
you have to find time for rest and peace. So whether that is journaling or taking time for yourself, taking a bath, like whatever you like to do to relax, going on a walk in the nature, you have to make time for that. Take breaks, like I'll sit at my desk for 9 hours a day and just cranking out work, just drinking coffee and going. But
shoot,
I have to like tell myself that I have to take breaks throughout the day so that I can get up and walk around, stretch my legs, So
yes,
it's important.
Do you feel that when you do rest in an abundant amount, meaning there's such thing as too much rest, I know, but often a lot of our culture leans the other way because they have multiple jobs. They're doing the best that they can. And I think about, well, if I had to compare it to my own life, about, even though I'm working there's times where I'm editing these videos and working from home and doing the yoga business, it doesn't feel like work to me, but it is work.
Yeah.
Like,
because you love to do it.
Yeah. It absolutely is. But I think there's a separation between even your hobbies and your true rest. Because I think when I get into meditation, or I'm sleeping, which is rest, or I'm, in nature, I'm not doing anything. How important is those lulls in your life, would you say?
Yeah, I definitely am learning a balance, I'm definitely learning to incorporate that more and make it a priority. Because, I mean, for me in my life, it's bred anxiety. Like, it's bred, like, the things I was talking about. So, I have to work on that.
Have had your previous trip to Europe awaken any part of you to rest?
Yeah, my trip to Europe really opened my eyes to a lot of things, like how they live their life. It's slower paced, and they don't rush places. They just go and come as they please. So it was really cool to see that.
Yeah, I wish we had that here in the U.S.
I know. I'll take a 4-day work week. I really will.
I know. Something about the structure of the 5-day work week, it's almost like I don't know very many people who work all 5 days. Often they're doing like Monday through Thursday, and then Friday is their lax day at work, but they're really not. They're scrolling on their phones. It's like a waste of time anyway.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, I think we've hit a good chunk of what I was going to ask you today. But I want you to plug your stuff, so Within the Chambers, so that's your Instagram handle for your business, and then for your personal account, it's at Katie Ianni. I'll leave that in the show notes as well, and you'll see it below. And then also, you're starting to post more and more on a regular basis. Who would you say your audience members are, and could other people also come in and watch your content?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Within the Chambers is my life coaching content, where I really talk about healing, and getting your needs met in areas in your life where you might still have trauma, or and you're showing up today with the same traumas that you experienced from your past. So just like revisiting those, and just getting healing and love and peace back into your heart. So yeah.
Well, cool. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.